Welcome to this explainer. Think about the very beginning of a class or a presentation for a second. Most of us treat this time as purely administrative, right? We're shuffling papers, checking microphones, maybe taking attendance. But what if I told you that those first 5 minutes are actually a crucial, high-stakes performance that basically dictates the success of everything that follows? Today, we're exploring a fascinating micro-teaching methodology that can transform the start of any lesson from a boring routine into an absolute masterclass in audience engagement.
Picture this scenario. You step up to the front of the room, you clear your throat, and 30 pairs of eyes look your way. How do you actually guarantee your audience is listening to you? Well, it's definitely not by just starting to talk. According to the foundational principles of microteaching, an effective teacher has to be highly active and incredibly creative from the very first second. You don't just ask for their attention, you literally have to engineer an environment that demands it.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The art of the hook. 2. Why set induction matters. 3. Mastering the subskills. And 4. Executing your 5-minute start. Honestly, just by reviewing this agenda together, we're already putting you into a state of readiness, which is exactly the psychological state we're about to learn how to create. So let's dive right into Section 1, the art of the hook, and the beginning of class teaching. Okay, so our core concept here is called the Set Induction Skill. That's the official academic term in microteaching for introducing a lesson. Basically, it involves deliberately grabbing your students' attention and asking a set of strategically designed questions. These questions relate directly to stuff they already know, slowly leading them right to the doorstep of your new topic. By creating this specific environment, the outcomes of the entire learning process can be estimated pretty clearly right from the jump. You're not just crossing your fingers and hoping they learn, you're setting the stage so they honestly have no choice but to learn. Moving right along to Section 2, why set induction matters, and creating the environment. Let's look at the underlying philosophy here. It really boils down to 4 core goals. First, you absolutely have to arrest the attention of your learners. Just jolt them out of whatever distractions they brought in with them and into a state of readiness. Once you have that attention, then you can motivate them, shifting their focus specifically toward what they're about to learn. Ultimately, this lets you suggest a really clear approach for the lesson. It's like hitting a complete psychological reset button for your audience. Now for the fun part. Section 3, mastering the subskills. These are your tricks of the trade. The first major subskill is arousing curiosity, and man, look at this incredible toolbox you have at your disposal. You don't just walk in and say, okay, everyone open your books. Please don't do that. Instead, you might tell a gripping story, present a totally shocking fact, or show a relevant newspaper clipping. You could share a personal experience, use a bit of dramatization, bring up a hot current issue, or even run a quick live experiment. These are dynamic, creative ways to spark immediate, undeniable interest before the actual teaching even starts. Let's see how this builds into our next subskill, the revival of previous knowledge. This one is absolutely crucial. You have to access the knowledge they need to understand the present content. For example, if you're introducing a lesson on the Second World War, you don't just parachute straight into the 1940s. You start by asking questions about the First World War. You activate what they already know, creating this mental bridge that makes the new information instantly accessible to them. Here's another brilliantly simple example from our source text. Let's say you want to teach students about an adjective. Well, first, you have to revive their previous knowledge of a noun. The fundamental rules of language build directly on top of previously established frameworks. By asking them questions they can confidently answer about nouns first, you make them active and engaged, and boom, you've paved the perfect runway to introduce adjectives. And of course, we can't forget about the sub-skill of using teaching aids. Relying purely on your voice just isn't enough sometimes. Bringing in physical and visual tools like photographs, maps, 3D models, charts, physical samples, or experimental apparatus dramatically enhances the effectiveness of your hook. Not only does this visual stimulation grab their attention, but it also really helps with class management because you're giving the entire room a single focal point to concentrate on. All right, let's get into the mechanics. Section 4, executing your 5-minute start, the micro-teaching protocol. Step 1, you complete the formality. You walk in, you're pleasant, and you calmly write the date and the subject on the board. But step 2, this is where the magic happens. Do not tell them the title of the unit. Seriously, you must keep the chapter title an absolute secret at this point. You are actively building suspense. You're deploying your stories, your questions, your teaching aids, all while keeping them guessing about what the actual topic of the day is even going to be. And then you hit them with the statement of aim. This is the climactic moment of your 5 minutes, the big reveal. After you've perfectly aroused their curiosity and linked their previous knowledge, you finally break the suspense. This is your closing statement of the introduction. You look right at the class and say something like, "Today, let's study about the volcano," or "Let's study about the palm cuckoo," written by Wordsworth. You have just perfectly linked your awesome introduction straight into the unit. Only after that climactic statement of aim do you turn back to the board for your title writing. And the layout here is actually highly organized. By keeping the date and subject tucked up in the upper margins, you reserve the main central board space exclusively for the subunit and your examples. It creates this super clean visual map that completely locks in all that focus you just generated. Which brings us to the absolute golden rule of set induction. You introduce the unit using all these subskills within a strict 5-minute time limit. You state the aim, you write the title on the board, and then you stop. I mean it. Do not teach the unit yet. Your overall impression of confidence and communication relies on executing this hook perfectly, and then just pausing. The intro is its own complete, self-contained performance piece. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds like a lot of dense academic theory, but I want to pivot to the discussion notes from our source for a second to ground this in a highly relatable, everyday reality. Think about this. How is this 5-minute pedagogical skill exactly like your favorite media? Because there is a profound parallel here. Set induction is using the exact same psychological mechanisms as a recap at the beginning of a TV show or the gripping hook of a good advertisement. Think about it. Before a new episode of a drama begins, they show you clips of previous episodes to revive your knowledge and get you into a state of readiness, right? Advertisements use rapid-fire facts, drama, and visual aids to arouse your curiosity before revealing the product. Set induction is literally just taking the most engaging tools of modern media and applying them directly to education. It completely shifts how you view the start of any presentation. Those first 5 minutes, that's your TV recap. That is your blockbuster movie trailer. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Armed with the knowledge of how to arouse curiosity, revive previous knowledge, and build real suspense before stating your aim, what will be your hook the next time you step to the front of the room? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you leave today eager to master your own 5-minute start.